Welcome, welcome. This is our last lesson in topic 6. Let's talk about water resources. So, water is actually a limited resource. It's not distributed evenly, so different parts of the world have different sources of water, and most water on Earth is salt water. Okay, so if we look at this, salt water is 98% the water on Earth. Okay, so out of all the water on Earth, 98% of that is salt water. 2% of that is fresh water, so we could drink fresh water, right? Salt water is too salty for us, we can't drink it. So only 2% we use for our drinking, and we use it for other things like washing our dishes, all those things. Only 2% on Earth is what we use for that. But out of that 2%, 87% of that is locked in ice. Okay, so we can't get that water, that fresh water, in ice. So the water that we actually use to drink, that comes from groundwater and surface water, so like rivers and lakes. So out of that 2%, this is how much we use to drink and to live our life. Okay, so the water cycle is super important for that reason. Again, fresh water is only found as surface ice. Again, it's mostly at the poles and in the glaciers. That's most of the fresh water. And then it's found in surface water, so like the rivers, the lakes, ponds, swamps, all of those things are surface water. And then groundwater, so it's in the Earth's crust. Okay. So surface water. Surface water is the fresh water on top of the land, so on top of the Earth's surface. So we could see that again in lakes and rivers. Most surface water is in lakes. So the closest one to us is Lake Erie, which is a huge water source. So moisture on top of soil in colder regions is called frozen permafrost. Okay, so permafrost, we can't extract that water. So again, it's in lakes, it's in rivers. Surface water is streams, swamps, marshes. All of those are considered surface water because it's on top of the earth. It's on the land surface. Okay, and the distribution of this water depends on precipitation. It's affected by the temperature and weather patterns, so it's not distributed evenly. Okay, and for that reason, humans often settled near those lakes and rivers due to the need for water. We need to survive, so we usually stayed close to water. Okay, so what about groundwater? Groundwater is not evenly distributed. It depends on the type of rock layers in the Earth's crust, which is not even throughout the Earth. So groundwater is formed by gravity causing water from the precipitation. Remember, precipitation is bringing that water back to the Earth. And runoff, it seeps into the ground and it fills the empty spaces between rock, because rock is not just totally solid. There's different like caves, and there's different pores in the rock in the Earth's crust. Okay, so that groundwater fills the empty spaces in between the rocks. Okay, so the more porous rocks have more empty spaces to fill and collect that water. So people who live by more porous rock have more groundwater. And an aquifer, is a porous rock that contains groundwater. Okay, so those porous rocks are called an aquifer. Okay, so what does this mean for us? For us, we use water all the time, right? Humans often use up the groundwater faster than it could be replenished. Okay, so we can see that here, which causes a water shortage. And again, we talked about hydroelectric power. We use dams to create that power. Those dams can change the natural path of water, which is, again, unevenly distributing that water. and causing environmental change. And pollution obviously also impacts both the surface and the groundwater. So pollution can seep into the ground and pollute the groundwater, making it unsafe, and the surface water. So we don't want to drink unsafe water. So polluting this water, remember, fresh water is only 2% of the earth. Polluting this very scarce resource is damaging. So we're running out of fresh water. Okay, humans could also desalinate ocean water. So that sounds like a good idea, right? We can take the ocean water, which is salt water, use energy and convert it into fresh water for us to drink and use. It sounds like a great plan because there's so much salt water. But why don't we use it more? It's super costly. And it requires a lot of energy. Some of them use fossil fuels, which cause pollution. And desalination also harms the ocean's environment. It makes the ocean way too salty, and it just disturbs the environment in the ocean's ecosystem. Okay, so even though desalination sounds like a great idea, it's super costly. It damages the earth and requires a ton of energy. Okay. We also use many different resources that the water gives us. It provides, again, many resources like sea organisms and plants for food. It gives us salt and minerals. Again, we need salt and minerals to survive. And it also gives us fuel. But those resources that we use, we could cause overfishing. So if we're eating a bunch of fish, we can overfish them and collapse a whole ecosystem. It's taking away a ton of biodiversity. And again, the pollution that we put into our waters, it's impacted by pollution, and it's impacted by climate change. Okay. So that's all I have. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helped.